Curtis Calhoun here with MMA News, and my next guest is getting ready to compete on the PFL Challenger Series. Anthony Romero is on the program today. How's it going, Anthony?
I'm feeling great. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks again for the time. Really do appreciate it. First things first, let's get right into it, man. Just kind of give me your reaction when you first found out about this opportunity in the PFL Challenger Series, and how pumped are you to get back in there?
Oh, very thankful. A lot of people know that it's been a little while since my last fight, and just being patient and finding that next big opportunity. And very thankful that PFL gave me the opportunity to fight on their stage. And I believe it's one of the biggest stages in the world, and I'm excited to be able to show my skills.
I was about to ask you about that. Like, was the long layoff kind of more selective in terms of waiting for that big opportunity and kind of avoiding those regional opportunities, or what was kind of the reason for the layoff?
Yeah, I didn't really get too excited about fighting regionally anymore. I'm like 12 fights in now, fighting the regional scene. I fought a bunch of amateur fights, and it just didn't get me excited. Didn't light a fire under me, and I knew there was someone out there was going to give me an opportunity, and thankfully that PFL was the one. So.
Absolutely. Speaking of the PFL, what have been kind of your impressions of the PFL from the outside looking in? Obviously, they got top talent like Kayla Harrison, Anthony Pettis, even Jake Paul's in the mix there too. I mean, I guess what are your impressions of the PFL so far?
Oh, I'm excited to be a part of it, for sure. They're on their way up. I feel like the big signings have been putting their name out to just like the average viewer, and a lot of people know Jake Paul. I think I'm pretty sure Jake Paul has more followers than the PFL together. Helps. So a lot of people are asking me about my fight, and I'm like, oh, I'm fighting for the PFL, and they're like, oh, that's the one that Jake Paul just signed with. I'm like, yeah, that's the one. So if I said PFL, it would be kind of tough for them to understand what it actually is. But I'm happy that they're really improving their brand and getting it out there.
Yeah, say what you will about Jake Paul, but I think one thing that everybody can agree on is he's a really good marketer, right? In terms of marketing and putting his brand out there. Do you feel like kind of the platform he's going to bring and the audience he's going to bring to the PFL will bring more fighters over in terms of creating that interest in free agency and all that?
Oh, for sure. I'm happy that he's creating an opportunity for fighters to find different avenues, whether it's boxing fights with him or straight MMA fights. It just really opens up the opportunity instead of being stuck with a forced contract and not being happy with what you're doing. I think it's really good for the sport altogether.
Tony Caruso is your opponent in this one. Tough guy, similar record as well. Just a few, you have just a few fights more than him. I guess, what do you know about him as an opponent, and how do you see this fight playing out stylistically?
He's a tough, durable opponent. I have a lot of training partners that fight like him, records like him. I fought a lot of guys like him, so I'm excited to just showcase my own skills. It's gonna be my night, and it's gonna be my show. So I'm just excited to fight again. I'm excited for the opportunity, especially on a big stage. Like I said, this just lights a fire under me, and just to display the skill on a big platform just means the world to me.
A lot of MMA fans probably recognize you from your time on the Contender Series. Obviously, you picked up a win there. Fell short of the contract, though. I guess, what are some of the lessons you've learned since that experience, and how do you feel like you've grown as both a fighter and as a person since that experience?
I think a really big lesson is that I can perform under pressure. Fighting on the Contender Series and knowing that you're fighting for, like, this is the biggest fight of your life. Seeing the little thing on the bottom corner of the screen, the Contender Series Tuesday night, and you're realizing that, oh, I'm on that, I'm gonna fight on that, and ESPN and all these people are gonna watch it. That I can perform under that type of pressure, it makes me feel the best. And knowing that the exact same thing's gonna happen with the PFL, that they're a huge brand, a lot of people are gonna be watching. I have a lot of family coming to watch, and I know already that I can perform under pressure. It's just gonna be fun out there.
I think one thing that really sets a fighter like you apart is obviously you have that experience fighting in a similar format, right? In terms of the Contender Series and all that, kind of understanding, the format and what's expected of you, and kind of how to get that contract or move closer to it. I guess, do you feel like that gives you kind of an advantage in terms of mentally knowing what to expect and knowing how to perform?
A little bit, yeah. I feel like I know he's fought on big shows as well. I think he fought one championship as well. It's a pretty big show. So like I said, I'm more thinking about the skill advantage and rather than what is going to be the issue with him, if that makes sense, like his mentality and all that kind of stuff. I'm preparing to fight the best Tony out there that anyone's fought, and I know I'm ready for that high caliber opponent, and I'm ready to finish that fight. So.
I spoke with your teammate, Aaron Jeffrey, not too long ago. And during our chat, he specifically mentioned you as a fighter to really keep your eye out for. I guess kind of talk to me a little bit about the dynamic up there at Niagara Top Team. Obviously, it seems like a really tight-knit group and a really big community up there.
Yeah, it's really growing. We're getting a lot of people from outside coming to train with us because they notice the impact that we're putting on in these shows. Performing well, performing on big shows, not just regional shows, UFC, Bellator. So it just they're seeing what it's all about. So I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm happy to be from there from the start. We used to train in a small room, small wrestling room, and then a small basement underneath a restaurant. We had like 5 people training all together. And then to see where we are now, it's really cool to see how far we've gone.
Yeah, I spoke with Jasmine Jastovicius a few months ago, and she mentioned how you guys were training in a basement and you had to deal with flooding and all that stuff. I guess kind of give me your perspective on that and what that whole experience was like for you.
Definitely humble beginnings. Not having an actual like gym setting. Like I said, just a basement underneath the Blue Star restaurant, and just it's really cool. Sometimes we get to practice, and it would take us like an hour to warm up because here in Canada it's cold and there's no heat down there. So an hour to warm up and then an hour to do our drilling, and then we do maybe 30 minutes of sparring or whatever after. So we'll be there forever just to get the work in. So.
Obviously, I know you're not looking past Tony Caruso, obviously a tough opponent, big opportunity, but I feel like when you look at that PFL lightweight division, you have big names like Anthony Pettis, Clay Collar, Jeremy Stevens. That's got to excite you, right?
Oh, for sure. And the fact that they can't say no to the fight makes it even more exciting. Like it's set, unless of course an injury or something like that. But whereas the UFC or other promotions, it's like no one wants to fight number 4 or 5 if they're a different ranking, all that kind of stuff. So I'm set to fight them once I'm in the season, and I'm excited to perform against those top level guys.
For fans that may not know as much about you, how would you describe your style inside the cage and, to those PFL fans that are just getting to know you and just getting to watch you?
It's the definition of mixed martial arts, I guess you could say. Like I'm not a striker. I'm not a wrestler. I never wrestled in high school. I wrestled a little bit when I was in university, but I was never on an official team. But when I put it together, it's just a magical thing. I'm able to mix it up and have fun out there, and expect fireworks. Especially like you see my last fight, like everyone's like, "Oh, this guy's a decision fighter," blah blah blah. Like I can finish fights, and that was a pretty exciting way to finish. So.
No doubt about it. Last question for me, man. What's your message to the PFL fans and everybody back home getting to watch you on the PFL Challenger Series?
Yeah, just watch me win that contract February 17th. It's going to be a great show, great showing, and I'm just excited to perform for you guys.
Well, Anthony, it was great to meet you. Great to chat with you, especially this close to fight night. I really do appreciate it, man. All the best with these final few days leading up to fight night, and I have a feeling we'll definitely chat again soon, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.